Let's check in now with WSBT-22's Kristen Bean. She is in Granger, where we saw just moments ago live the polls open.
Kristen, a large turnout is expected today.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, there was a pretty decent line outside this polling place. We're at the Clay Fire Hall on State Road 23 in Elm this morning. This is a two-precinct voting location, meaning voters from two different precincts are going to use this one location as the place to cast their vote. I want to show you. They are in line this morning. You just saw the polls opened 6 o'clock, and immediately that line started filing in. Poll workers here say they are prepared. Here in St. Joseph County, they've ordered ballots for every registered voter, and you may see a few extra workers at some of the polls. Just north of us in Cass County, each precinct usually has about 5 people working during a November election. Instead, this year they've called in around 10 per precinct, and the clerk there ordered extra ballots anticipating a large turnout.
We've been watching the numbers and we're preparing. We actually already ordered some more ballots to be prepared. We don't want to run out of ballots. And we've called in extra election workers.
We just want to encourage people to get out there and vote and know that in St. Joseph County, we have your back. We are not going to let you be intimidated. We are not going to let fraud happen in our county. And we will perform to the best of our abilities an election that is fair process.
Now, in St. Joseph County, poll workers will be using iPad technology for the first time in a general election to check voters in. You may be able to see that here in between some of these voters. That may speed up the wait time, but no matter where you go to vote, you have to expect there's going to be a wait in line. Busiest hours are right now, as you can see, during the lunch hour and then after 5 p.m. You have until 6 p.m. to vote here in Indiana. Polls in Michigan open up in an hour. Live here in St. Joseph County, Kristen Bean, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Kristen, thanks very much. You saw it right there. No matter where you live, expected to see a lot of measures and people on your ballot.
On Election Day, our team coverage continues now with WSBT 22's Caroline Tory. She joins us live from the newsroom. Caroline, voters can see issues and candidates that they can vote on today before entering the voting booth.
Bob and Leanne, yes, they can. And in fact, it's probably a good idea if you familiarize yourself with the issues and who's on your ballot before you go and vote today. So that will help you be more efficient as you go in and out of the voting booth. Now, the best way to do that and the quickest way is you simply log on to Google, go to their homepage and you click on their logo. Then that will take you to a page where you enter in your address, where you're registered to vote. And that will tell you where you're polling information, and it will also give you information. So it will take you to this page and it will also give you information on who and what is on your ballot nationally, statewide, and locally. Now, if you are unsure if you're even registered to vote, you can also check on these other websites that I will share with you right now. So in Indiana, that website is indianavoters.in.gov. And in Michigan, it is vote.michigan.gov. So unfortunately, if you did not register to vote by October 11, you are out of luck for this election. But for everyone else, if you are going to the polls today, be sure to bring your ID. You must have that with you if you want to vote. Coming up, I will break down more of that information for you. Live in the newsroom, I'm Caroline Tory, WSBT 22 News.
Caroline, thank you. And you just heard her. One thing you'll need as you head out the door to vote is your ID. But if yours is missing, don't worry, you're not totally out of luck. Indiana BNV offices will have extended hours today. All branches are open right now and will stay open until 6 o'clock tonight. This way you can get an ID card to use at your polling place. The Indiana BNV provides free state-issued ID cards for voting purposes to anyone who is unlicensed.
Now to the presidential campaign trail at 6:06. The average of all the latest nationwide polls by Real Clear Politics giving Hillary Clinton a slight 3-point edge going into this election day. And now this is a live look in New York, where both the candidates will have watch parties tonight. This is the first time in more than 70 years both nominees will be in New York City on election night. Dozens of streets are closed. Police are at each polling precinct in the city's 5 boroughs, and more transit officers will also be posted.
6:06 and closer to home, all eyes are on Indianapolis. Eric Holcomb and John Gregg battle in a tight race for Indiana's next governor. WSBT 22's Suzanne Spencer has a preview of what's expected from the candidates today.
One of the most closely watched races is that of Indiana governor. Republican Lieutenant Governor Eric Holcomb is facing off against Democrat John Gregg. Holcomb has worked behind the scenes for several years in Indiana. He was named lieutenant governor in March and then named candidate for governor this past summer. That was after, of course, Donald Trump tapped Republican Governor Mike Pence to be his running mate. Gregg is the former Speaker of the Indiana House and ran against Pence back in 2012, but lost. Now, the two have quite an agenda for today. Both candidates will be casting their ballot. Lieutenant Governor Eric Holcomb will be in Indianapolis, while Gregg will be in southwestern Indiana. Both candidates then headed back to Indianapolis to have their respective watch parties with the Republicans and the Democrats, and that's where we'll be at both of those watch parties, and we'll have coverage for you throughout the day. In the newsroom, Suzanne Spencer, WSBT-22 News.
Suzanne, thanks very much. The latest polling show the race for Indiana Senate is very tight today, tighter than ever, in fact. The average of the statewide polls from Real Clear Politics giving Republican Todd Young just a 0.7% lead over Democrat Evan Bayh. You can call that basically tied. Bayh, who held this seat from 1999 to 2011, leads in most polls up until November. Now, Lucy Brenton is running as the Libertarian candidate. All three are seeking to replace Republican Dan Coats, who is not seeking re-election. And Leanne, we're also very closely monitoring the local district, the 2nd Congressional District Congress seat.
Bob, incumbent Jackie Walorski is looking to defend her seat today. She's faced a tough fight from Democrat Lynn Coleman. Coleman has criticized Walorski for refusing to participate in a public debate. The only debate between the two candidates happened behind closed doors at a Wabash radio station.
In Michigan, 3 candidates are running for the state's 6th congressional district seat, and that is Republican incumbent Fred Upton, the man you're seeing there. He is hoping a strong Republican turnout will keep him in office and the GOP in control of the House. His Democratic opponent, Paul Clements, is trying once again to defeat Congressman Upton. Libertarian Lawrence Wenke is also running for this seat. Time is now 6:08. Many of your kids are getting to sleep in today. South Bend and the school city of Mishawaka canceling classes today.
A number of those buildings serve double duty as polling places. WSBT 22's Alex Elich joins us live from downtown South Bend. Alex, security played a big part in this decision.
Bob and Leanne, that's right. But surprisingly, it has nothing to do with how heated this presidential election has been. School officials tell me that the election can be really distracting for a lot of these students, especially because about 1/4 of all polling places in St. Joseph County are schools. Now, Indiana state law requires school buildings to be available as voting sites if deemed necessary by county election officials. So during an election day, a lot of work goes in transforming those schools into polling stops. Schools would have to alter their schedules and alter their passing periods as well. So that means section of the buildings would have to be closed. And no school makes it easier for teachers to be involved with polling places. Thousands of strangers are coming in and going out while students are there. That had school officials increasingly worried.
Concerned about safety. We have people just coming in and out of the buildings, and there's just a concern of who's entering, because our normal procedures are you have to check in at the office and go through. And so with those things in mind, we just felt that mutually, both sides, that it would just be better that schools be closed that day.
So I called local police departments and asked if they were beefing up security this election year, and they said it'll be just business as usual like any other election year, and if they are called, they'll be near any polling places. Live in South Bend, I'm Alex Elich, WSBT 22 News.
Alex, thank you. People in Mishawaka not just voting on the future of our country today, they also have a say on the future of their schools. Voters are deciding on 2 ballot referendums that would bring in more than $14 million to the district. That money would be used for security and technology upgrades for Mishawaka schools.